What if I told you that in 1940, while the rest of the world was still equipping their soldiers with bolt-action rifles from World War I, the Soviet Union had already mass-produced a semi-automatic rifle so advanced that it wouldn't be matched by Western powers for years? What if this same weapon was so feared by German forces that they actively sought to capture and use it against its creators, and so respected by American intelligence that they desperately tried to reverse engineer its secrets? The SVT-40, or Samozaryadnaya Vintovka Tokareva, wasn't just another rifle. It was a technological marvel that represented Soviet engineering at its absolute peak, a weapon so revolutionary that it struck fear into the hearts of Western military planners who realized they had dramatically underestimated Soviet industrial and technological capabilities. Today, we're uncovering the secrets behind the rifle that made the West realize the Soviet Union wasn't just a backward agricultural nation, but a technological superpower capable of producing weapons that surpassed anything in Western arsenals. The story of the SVT-40 begins in the 1930s, when Soviet military planners, led by visionary designers like Sergei Simonov and Fedor Tokarev, recognized that the future of infantry warfare lay in semi-automatic rifles that could provide rapid, accurate fire without the need for manual bolt operation between shots. While Western nations remained largely committed to proven but outdated bolt-action designs like the British Lee Enfield and German Mauser, Soviet engineers were already working on what would become one of the most advanced infantry weapons of its era. The development program was driven by harsh lessons learned during the Russian Civil War and border conflicts with Japan, where Soviet forces had experienced firsthand the devastating effectiveness of rapid-fire weapons. Fedor Tokarev, the brilliant designer whose name would become synonymous with Soviet small arms excellence, began work on his semi-automatic rifle design in the early 1930s, drawing inspiration from American designs like the M1 Garand, while incorporating uniquely Soviet innovations that would make his rifle superior in many respects. The Soviet military establishment, unlike their Western counterparts, was willing to invest heavily in revolutionary weapons technology, understanding that future conflicts would be won by nations that could equip their soldiers with the most advanced tools of war. The technical innovations incorporated into the SVT-40 were nothing short of revolutionary, representing advances in metallurgy, manufacturing, and weapons design that Western intelligence agencies would spend years trying to fully understand and replicate. At the heart of the rifle was Tokarev's ingenious gas-operated system, which used a short-stroke gas piston to cycle the action with remarkable reliability and speed. Unlike the long-stroke gas systems used in many contemporary designs, Tokarev's system was more compact and generated less felt recoil, allowing for faster follow-up shots and greater accuracy during rapid fire. The rifle's muzzle brake was another innovation that set it apart from Western designs, effectively reducing recoil and muzzle climb to levels that made the powerful 7.62 54mm cartridge manageable even during rapid semi-automatic fire. The SVT-40's manufacturing incorporated advanced Soviet metallurgical techniques that produced a rifle barrel of exceptional accuracy and durability, capable of maintaining precision even after thousands of rounds. The rifle's stock design was ergonomically superior to most contemporary weapons, featuring a pistol grip and cheek rest that provided natural shooting positions for both standing and prone firing. Perhaps most impressively, the SVT-40 incorporated a detachable box magazine system that allowed for rapid reloading, giving Soviet soldiers a significant tactical advantage over enemies equipped with rifles that required individual cartridge loading or cumbersome en-bloc clips. When the SVT-40 first appeared on battlefields in 1940, during the Soviet invasion of Finland, Western military observers were shocked by its performance and the implications of Soviet technological advancement. Finnish forces, despite their tactical superiority and knowledge of local terrain, found themselves outgunned by Soviet troops equipped with semi-automatic rifles that could deliver accurate fire at rates impossible with bolt-action weapons. German military attachés observing the conflict immediately recognized the threat posed by widespread Soviet adoption of semi-automatic rifles, understanding that their own forces, equipped primarily with Karabiner 98K bolt-action rifles, would be at a severe disadvantage in any future conflict with the USSR. American military intelligence, already concerned about Soviet industrial capabilities, began intensive efforts to acquire examples of the SVT-40 for study, recognizing that the Soviets had achieved a breakthrough in infantry weapons that the United States was still years away from matching with their own M1 Garand program. The rifle's performance in Finland demonstrated not just Soviet technological prowess, but also their ability to mass-produce advanced weapon systems, suggesting an industrial capacity that Western planners had dramatically underestimated. The German invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941 provided the ultimate test of the SVT-40's capabilities and revealed why Western forces had good reason to fear this remarkable weapon. German soldiers, initially confident in their tactical superiority and equipment advantages, quickly discovered that Soviet troops equipped with SVT-40s could deliver devastating volumes of accurate fire that decimated advancing infantry formations. The rifle's semi-automatic capability meant that a single Soviet soldier could engage multiple targets in rapid succession, something impossible with the bolt-action rifles that formed the backbone of German infantry equipment. German after-action reports from the early months of Operation Barbarossa consistently mentioned the superior firepower of Soviet units equipped with SVT-40s, noting that these weapons allowed numerically inferior Soviet forces to hold defensive positions that should have been easily overrun. The psychological impact was equally significant, as German soldiers reported feeling outgunned and technically inferior for the first time in the war, a shocking reversal of their previous experiences against Polish, French, and British forces. So impressed were German forces with the SVT-40's capabilities that they actively sought to capture these rifles for their own use, with many German units preferring captured Soviet semi-automatics to their own standard-issue weapons. The mass production and deployment of the SVT-40 represented a triumph of Soviet industrial planning and manufacturing capability that sent shockwaves through Western military establishments. By 1941, Soviet factories were producing SVT-40s at rates that dwarfed Western semi-automatic rifle production, with some estimates suggesting that the USSR manufactured more semi-automatic rifles in 1941 alone than the United States would produce during the entire war. This production achievement was made possible by Soviet advances in manufacturing techniques, including innovative approaches to machining, assembly, and quality control that allowed for rapid production without sacrificing reliability or accuracy. Western intelligence agencies, already struggling to understand Soviet industrial capabilities, were forced to completely revise their estimates of Soviet technological and manufacturing prowess. The realization that the Soviets could mass-produce advanced weapon systems while simultaneously fighting a desperate war for survival demonstrated an industrial resilience and technological sophistication that challenged fundamental Western assumptions about Soviet society and capabilities. American and British military planners began to understand that they were facing not just a military opponent, but a technological rival capable of innovations that matched or exceeded their own achievements. The SVT-40's influence on battlefield tactics and military doctrine extended far beyond its immediate firepower advantages, forcing both Soviet and enemy forces to develop new approaches to infantry combat that reflected the realities of semi-automatic warfare. Soviet tactical manuals were rewritten to take advantage of the SVT-40's rapid-fire capabilities, emphasizing aggressive fire and movement tactics that maximized the rifle's ability to suppress enemy positions while allowing friendly forces to advance. The rifle's accuracy and range made it equally effective in defensive roles, where Soviet marksmen could engage enemy targets at distances that exceeded the effective range of most submachine guns, while maintaining rates of fire impossible with bolt-action rifles. German forces were forced to adapt their own tactics in response to the SVT-40 threat, developing new approaches to assault and infiltration that attempted to minimize exposure to Soviet semi-automatic fire. The rifle's impact on sniper warfare was particularly significant, as the SVT-40's inherent accuracy and rapid follow-up shot capability made it an excellent platform for precision shooting, allowing Soviet snipers to engage multiple targets in rapid succession or quickly relocate after taking a shot. Western attempts to counter the SVT-40 threat revealed both the rifle's technical superiority and the extent to which it had caught Western military establishments off guard. American efforts to accelerate M1 Garand production were driven partly by the need to match Soviet semi-automatic rifle capabilities, while British attempts to develop their own semi-automatic rifles were hampered by manufacturing limitations and design compromises that the Soviets had apparently solved years earlier. German weapons designers, despite their reputation for innovation, struggled to develop semi-automatic rifles that could match the SVT-40's combination of reliability, accuracy, and manufacturability, with programs like the Gewehr 43 representing attempts to copy Soviet innovations rather than develop original solutions. Intelligence efforts to acquire and study captured SVT-40s became high priorities for Western military organizations, with detailed technical analyses revealing manufacturing techniques and design principles that influenced post-war weapon development. The rifle's impact on Western military thinking was profound, forcing a recognition that Soviet technological capabilities had been systematically underestimated and that future conflicts would require weapon systems capable of matching Soviet innovations. The decline of the SVT-40 during the later stages of World War II reflected changing battlefield conditions and Soviet strategic priorities rather than any inherent weakness in the rifle's design or performance. As the war progressed and Soviet forces transitioned from desperate defense to offensive operations, military planners began to prioritize weapons that could be produced quickly and cheaply to arm the massive forces needed for continental warfare. The submachine gun, particularly the PPSH-41, offered advantages in urban combat and close-quarters fighting that made it more suitable for the type of warfare Soviet forces increasingly faced as they advanced into German-occupied territory. Additionally, the SVT-40's complexity and precision manufacturing requirements made it expensive and time-consuming to produce compared to simpler weapons that could arm larger numbers of soldiers. The decision to reduce SVT-40 production in favor of submachine guns and simplified rifles reflected Soviet pragmatism and strategic thinking rather than dissatisfaction with the rifle's performance, as evidenced by the continued use of SVT-40s by elite units and snipers throughout the war. The post-war fate of the SVT-40 and its influence on subsequent weapon development revealed the lasting impact of Soviet innovations on global military technology. While the rifle itself was largely phased out of Soviet service in favor of the AK-47 and other assault rifles, many of its design principles and manufacturing techniques influenced the development of post-war weapon systems. Western nations, having finally recognized Soviet technological capabilities, invested heavily in reverse engineering SVT-40 innovations and incorporating them into their own weapon development programs. The rifle's gas-operated system, manufacturing techniques, and ergonomic features influenced everything from American M14 development to European assault rifle programs, demonstrating the lasting impact of Tokarev's innovations. Soviet weapons designers, building on the success of the SVT-40, continued to lead global small arms development with innovations like the AK-47 that would dominate international arms markets for decades. The SVT-40's legacy extended beyond its immediate technical contributions to include a fundamental shift in Western perceptions of Soviet technological capabilities and industrial prowess. The story of the SVT-40 represents more than just the development of an advanced rifle. It embodies the broader transformation of the Soviet Union from a largely agricultural society to a technological superpower capable of innovations that challenged Western assumptions about industrial and military capabilities. The rifle's development and mass production demonstrated Soviet abilities in metallurgy, manufacturing, and weapons design that forced Western military establishments to completely revise their understanding of Soviet strengths and capabilities. The fear that the SVT-40 inspired in Western military circles reflected not just concern about a superior weapon system, but recognition that the Soviet Union had achieved technological parity or superiority in critical areas of military technology. This realization would influence Western military planning and weapons development for decades, driving investments in research and development that sought to match or exceed Soviet innovations. The SVT-40's impact on military history extends far beyond its immediate battlefield performance to include its role in reshaping global perceptions of Soviet technological capabilities and establishing the USSR as a legitimate technological rival to Western powers. The legacy of the SVT-40 continues to influence modern military thinking and weapons development, serving as a reminder that technological innovation can emerge from unexpected sources and challenge established assumptions about military superiority. The rifle's combination of advanced engineering, mass production capability, and battlefield effectiveness establish principles that continue to guide modern weapons development, while its impact on Western military thinking demonstrated the importance of accurately assessing potential adversaries' technological capabilities. As we examine the SVT-40's place in military history, we see not just the story of an exceptional rifle, but a broader lesson about the dangers of underestimating opponents and the importance of continuous innovation in military technology. The Soviet gun that the West feared ultimately became a catalyst for technological advancement and strategic thinking that shaped the entire Cold War era and continues to influence military development today. If this incredible story of Soviet innovation and Western fear fascinated you as much as it did us, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments about how technological surprises can change the course of history. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories of military innovation and the weapons that shaped our world. We have so many more incredible tales of engineering brilliance and strategic impact waiting to be told that will give you a completely new perspective on military history and technological development.